time for another round of Brandy. Candid conversations over cocktails about all things brand. With your hosts, Reilly Newman and Scott Saunders, the brand developers behind Motif Brands.
Hello and welcome back to another round of Brandy. Today Scott and I are a little hungry because we've been thinking about one brand in particular that we just love.
Well, it's a classic brand, and if you live out in California or the West Coast area, then you're familiar with
None other than the In-N-Out brand and the famous Double Burger.
This kind of kicked off the other day because we made this. There was a realization about the brand that I guess we'd never dawned on it before, right, Reilly? And
yeah, I've had instances where I'll open DoorDash and I want to order food for my family, and we love In-N-Out, so it's always a top option, but it never comes up. You've got Five Guys, you've got Jack in the Box, Chipotle, everyone's showing up on those apps, but In-N-Out isn't there. And so that kind of sprouted this conversation like, man, that is crazy that the brand can be that powerful, that not only do they don't succumb to the forces of DoorDash and Uber Eats and these markets that are out there, but when you drive up and down the 101 in California, you will see In-N-Outs along the way, and there will always be someone in a line in the drive-thru.
yeah,
always.
Yeah, anytime we go to In-N-Out, there's a heavy line in the store. It's hard to find tables. And the drive-through at least has like 10 cars deep in line, winding through the parking lot for their takeout window. But In-N-Out doesn't do delivery,
right,
and they don't allow delivery. You can't, through DoorDash or Uber Eats or any of these things, order In-N-Out and have it delivered. And we're like, wow, that's kind of, we never noticed it. We never made a mental note of it. But now that we thought about it, we're like, that's true. And why is that? Why could that be? We've got our own little commentary because we pondered this for a few minutes, and it kind of sat with us that it's actually more beneficial for the brand of In-N-Out to not do delivery. So if you've never had In-N-Out,
to an outsider, it can look like a cult. Right. It's the In-N-Out cult.
They just sell very simple menu. It's like cheeseburgers or hamburgers. You can do a double, which is 2 patties, and then fries, sodas, or milkshakes. Right. And their fries, like literally you can see the guy back there, he's grinding fresh washed potatoes and slamming them through, cutting them, and then throwing those in the fryer. So you're not even getting double fried, frozen. Nothing is frozen there. The fresh meat is delivered every day. Like the patties are delivered fresh, never frozen. Everything is just, the ingredients are fresh. You can get all these secret like side options. Like you want whole grilled onions on and off with no added charge.
Right.
And there's secret menu items. Like, in other words, you can order, they don't list it, but I've had a friend that literally ordered a 7-by, which was 7 patties. Could barely, he had to take 2 different separate bites to get through the whole thing. But because that was one, word is you can have as many patties as you want. Yeah. And those are add-ons, right? The patties are, but
everything
simple
else,
menu that has never changed.
It's literally 1, 2, 3. And on every menu it says it's easy as 1, 2, 3.
It's the simplest menu, the friendliest service. It's clean. Even when the workers are going around and cleaning the trash or filling up the ketchup dispensers, whatever, and clearing your table, cleaning it for you, they're just always a smile, and they're just like, hey, how are you? Like, it's just a pleasant experience. And I think that's, again, why they chose to say no. Another no is they've never done chicken. Right? Chicken is now, isn't the latest stats like more desirable at McDonald's than the beef?
So McDonald's in 2024 released that their chicken sales, for the first time ever, it was more than their beef sales. And so that says a lot about the chicken consumption in America, that people are just eating more chicken. But also, I remember when the daughter of the Snyder family, she was taking over In-N-Out, and the reporters, she became CEO, it was a big deal. And they asked her, so are you going to add chicken to the menu? And all she did, it was classic. All she did was just laugh. Yeah. And then it was like, okay, interview's over.
It's not burgers. And so, in the day and age when you have brands that, and I'm not dissing these brands, but like Jack in the Box, you can order everything from tacos, teriyakis to chicken rolls, chicken teriyaki and egg rolls to hamburgers and fries.
I've had to order Chipotle or something through DoorDash. It's like the person comes, drops it off, and they're in a rush. There's zero relationship or interaction. It's just very transactional, and just it's very blah, even for Chipotle. But it's amazing that In-N-Out has maintained it's a machine of an operation. Like, they just have everything is dialed in, everything's being timed, everything is just always it's insane the way they work it. But everyone's happy, everyone's in a good mood, and it works like clockwork. And it's amazing when you look at the history of In-N-Out, and they opened the first one in 1948, and apparently that was the first drive-through in California for a hamburger stand.
Which I thought was kind of crazy because I would have thought something like McDonald's or something would have been like one of the first ones, right?
Which you did have walk-up windows and things like that. And In-N-Out, there's a couple in California that are still just walk-up windows, and you can go to those. But it was a little less than 100 square foot little booth, and you go up and it has a drive-through. It was probably like a nickel for a burger or something. But they started going from there, and it's just like the business just took off. And so as it became more iconic, we were just looking at all of these very decisive kind of strategies that the Snyder family, who still owns In-N-Out, what the decisions they made along the way that has kept In-N-Out sacred and kind of just compounded the brand over time. And I feel like what In-N-Out has done so well is that they've innately been strategic, and that has made them make these decisions of, yes, it is saying no to certain parts of the market. It is saying no to the DoorDash and Uber world, and saying no to the chicken market and things like that, where it's like, which I think in the last 10, 15 years, we've been so kind of caught up in scalability and the internet, and you need to be able to sell to everyone. You just need numbers, and blow it up. And yes, that works for apps. That works for Amazon. That works for these massive markets that are selling small widgets that do appeal to everyone. But In-N-Out strategically has made these decisions to cut off and prune and just focus on where they're putting their energy, which has made them that much more iconic. And I would even say that, yes, they started off like fast food started off selling goods very quickly. It was food that came on the market. Oh wow, you can actually get it really quick. And during In-N-Out's birth, you had Taco Bell, you had McDonald's, all these guys taking off and trying to do this. And then In-N-Out has taken it to where it became service in the sense of you're paying for the fast delivery of it, and so did McDonald's and everything. But then I think In-N-Out has even elevated to the experience of it, and that's what they've built slowly over time. Is that not only, like Scott's saying, with the cleanliness, with the overall experience in the store, but also making it a scarce like brand in the sense of they were only in California for a very, very, very long time. And then finally they opened one like in Arizona.
And now there's talk of like a giant In-N-Out being built, a plan for Vegas, where it's like 2 or 3 stories tall.
That's actually pretty cool.
Right. Obviously it's Vegas. You're going big. You're going home.
They've naturally, just like what 805 Beer did, where they made 805 only when it first came out, it was only available in the 805 area code. Right. So you created natural scarcity, and it created more of an experience of the product. And I think In-N-Out did that. Who knows if, I think his name is Harry, the founder guy, if he was this strategic and thinking ahead that far of going, no, I'm going to limit who gets this, just so that the cult builds and it becomes this desirable experience.
It is, and that's one of the things I've always wondered. Is we've talked about how good In-N-Out. Why aren't the franchises all over the nation? Why aren't people in Louisiana or Boston able to experience an In-N-Out burger? Well, I think it's the same thing. Is like it's that scarcity where like, I don't know how many times I've gone into In-N-Out and sat down at a table close by, and last time I was at that, there was some German tourists, and they were literally, they had read about, they'd come across it, they were coming to California to sightsee, maybe they were on their way from San Francisco down to LA or something, and they wanted to stop in an iconic In-N-Out and have a classic In-N-Out hamburger, and they were so excited. They were taking pictures. They were like... It was like
Disneyland.
It was, and it made me think about. There's a reason Walt didn't plant a Disneyland in every state.
Yeah, yep.
You make it special. You make it unique.
Coastal.
People will come to it, right? And it becomes like if you come out to the West Coast, seek out an In-N-Out just to try it. Say you did, but I think it's for In-N-Out. I think the strength of their brand comes from incorporating and cultivating a brand culture from the inside first.
Yeah,
their company culture. I've known several people that work there, and they love working there. And you stop in and out. Everyone is hustling, but everyone is on a different station. In other words, if you were grinding and washing and trimming and cutting and frying potatoes, you're doing that for an hour. Then you're switching over to flipping the burgers, or you're working the drive-in window. Everything's like you said, Reilly, a well-oiled machine where from the management on down, everyone values their work, feels like they're part of the brand. The brand has a great reputation. So working there's pride, right?
Yeah. I've had clients where they're like, okay, what about our company culture? I would almost argue is that company culture, there's been so much kind of push for that, where companies then have these cultural workshops and they're trying to build company culture. I would almost say a healthy culture is almost byproduct of a healthy brand. Is that to have people proud of a brand and come to work and be like, I'm proud of what I do here. I'm part of this. Yeah, I'm actually doing something, and we're all working together. And again, like you see that in and out.
It's a team win.
Everyone's sweating and rowing the boat, but everyone, they're into it. It's like a sports team working together where everyone's working hard. And I think then that brand and that pride and that courage that comes with that then creates this even healthier culture. That's the byproduct. And yes, you do need, great leadership and stuff, and In-N-Out does a great job with that. But it's just crazy when you do look at how this brand, this little shop, this little hamburger stand from California has grown into this empire, and no one knows how much money they make. They everything is privately owned. They're not public. And they have their own freight and ship. They do everything under the shroud of In-N-Out, and it's amazing. Like it's seriously incredible.
Turns out it's just a cover up for the mob, but
yeah, it's just a big money laundering. It's a government agency. And I was even looking at when we were talking about it, I was like, what's up with the crossed palm trees? Because that's even iconic. Is that the brand?
Because that's on the cups,
these,
right?
No, the cups just have the curved trees going around, but at every location they do the crossed palm trees in front.
Okay.
So they plant those, and
I hadn't noticed those. I've always noticed the palm trees on the cups, but I've never noticed the cross palm trees.
By all their entrances, they always have. And when a new In-N-Out is planted, the trees are pretty young when they do it because you have to curve them. But that comes from the 1963 movie Mad World, and I guess the owner, he was very into that movie. The Snyder guy, he liked that movie so much, and on the movie they're looking for treasure or something, and there were palm trees that were crossed that marked the treasure. So it was a little bit of a nod to this kind of Hollywood
X marks the spot,
right? And it's cool, but then it's like from there that's become part of the brand, part of the visualization. Just like their sign is so classic, their cups
it is.
Are so classic.
We were looking at old like when we were pulling up data and looking at like the first one when it launched and everything. There's the same signage, the same typeface. It's all been, it hasn't changed.
It's amazing.
And some people would say that it gets stale, but I think that is why for for Californians, In-N-Out is such a classic, sacred icon.
Yeah.
And if more start to pop up, in leading more out into the Midwest area and things like that over time, maybe that'd be great. But it may be something that's just going to stay on the Western hemisphere, side of the states, and Vegas may be the farthest east it goes.
And I think it comes down to when we've talked about before, like supply and demand versus supply and desire. Is that In-N-Out definitely taps more into the desire category, and that really does kind of bring it more into that experience. It's like when you go to McDonald's, you're not getting that same experience. You're not getting the same service. That's one aspect. But just sitting in a McDonald's feels a whole lot different than sitting in an In-N-Out. And I think it just goes into now that In-N-Out has become so iconic and so well positioned that it's no longer about the burgers. The burgers are just kind of part of the transaction, but the experience of In-N-Out is actually what people are paying for. And that really does, kick up that desirability. That's why you have people waiting in the drive-thru and lying out the door all the time.
You look at the menu and it's very simple and straightforward. But what's cool is there's a lot of secret menu items, and they're not menu items, but they are secret things you can order.
Yeah.
And like animal style, you can get fries that are animal style. And I forget isn't that it's cheese and they've got a special sauce, and then there's chopped grilled onions.
Yeah.
So you can get cheese, grilled onions, and their special sauce. And they call it animal style. It's not listed on the menu, but it's like almost like a code word.
Yeah.
And I think the fact that they have like for instance, their hamburgers come with tomato and onion and lettuce, and you can have pickles added. They don't list that, and so I'll always order like a double with extra pickles, and I would like my onions, but I want it whole grilled.
Yeah.
So they'll literally take the whole slice of onion, and instead of serving it grilled and chopped, they'll serve it whole, and they'll grill it both sides, and knowing the code words for those, right? There's protein style, which is like one of their hamburgers, but instead of bread, it's with iceberg lettuce, big leaves of iceberg lettuce. So for people that can't have gluten, you can go and order a protein style like double or hamburger. You wouldn't know that if you're a first time, but the fact that you do it's almost like we're part of the family.
Yeah.
It's like, again, their brand is leaning into the relationship they have with me as the consumer. We've got this secret language. We've got a secret handshake. We've got this code, right?
Yeah.
And it's always kind of fun.
And it's cool because that's one aspect that even Starbucks did so well, was that you create your own vernacular so that the customers, you start changing the language so your true customers, there's a certain language there, and it makes them bond more. Because just like, a tall versus a grande, or
Two
a small
pump mocha
versus
frap
medium.
with, and all these different things.
Well, it's the
People are like, "Wait, what?"
customizability, but the
Right.
just helping train and use different language actually does create more of that bond. And it's just, I don't know. I feel like In-N-Out has done such a great job. And what's crazy is that I guess the founder guy, he also created that. He created the first two-way microphone kind of speaker system for the drive-through. And so if they were also innovative with the drive-through system and they're pushing that, it's like you start to see this pattern where you look at some of these founders who have literally changed industries. I didn't even know Snyder, the In-N-Out guy, was this innovative. But you look at Walt Disney, you look at Steve Jobs, you look at Sarah Blakely, a lot of these founders who were doing such innovative things. And I think that becomes part of the DNA of the brand. It's not like In-N-Out's coming out with technology and the In-N-Out app, and now you can do this with the In-N-Out filter and all these flashy things. But the innovation that they really pushed, even just like with the McDonald's story, is that was a very efficiency focused innovation.
Yeah.
I think these brands that were so innovative and they changed so many things and just kind of pushed the envelope, is that then it bled into these other areas of the business, and really, like in In-N-Out's case, it's made them a gold mine of experience.
Yeah. I think, bottom line, to me, it's just the fact that I think why I admire what they've done as a brand so much is they, again, they're self-aware.
Yeah.
And they know where their strengths lie, why they have a cult following, and they refuse to budge.
Yep.
They really do. I mean, a day and age when you've got online ordering and delivery, you'd think that would be something they would easily incorporate. Why not? It's going to increase sales. But yet again, I've never gone into, and they're open late too. I've never.
That's when they're really good.
Like a late Friday night at 1 in the morning. Where I've never gone to an In-N-Out where there isn't a line at the counter and a string of cars lined up in the parking lot to go through the drive-through.
Yeah.
And it's simple fare, but they do it well. And bottom line, you get a great food with a smile, and that's their staple, and they know it, and they're owning it.
Yeah.
And so it's like that. Again, we always talk about having like a brand filter by which you're going to at least review your pending business decisions through the brand filter to see, how does that align with my brand? Is that counterproductive with my brand? Is that going to hurt my brand? Am I making a sacrifice to the brand in order to, maybe get a few more sales or diversify or whatever?
Yep. Yeah.
If you're making your decisions based on what's best for the brand, right? Then that's a long-term investment that you are going to see residual payout for. Are you looking for that short-term business gain, or you're going to look for that long-term brand gain? And sometimes saying no is the best investment you can be making for your brand, for your business. I mean,
right. And I think on that point, another In-N-Out ism is that on rainy days they do free hot chocolate for kids, and it's probably when I look at their brand, it's the most obscure. They'll put a little chalkboard.
Well, it doesn't rain that much in California.
Oh, yeah, that too. But they'll put out
Seattle. They're like,
rainy
dude, we're bleeding out the business revenue just in free hot chocolate for kids. But no, in California we don't have as much.
But they offer it for free when they could easily, charge a little for it or something. But I'm like, it's ingenious because they're creating these kind of family moments where, someone takes their kid, it becomes special for the kid. They like In-N-Out more. They get the little hat or whatever, right? And it just becomes this reoccurring, like we always say, the relationship where they're building that, and it becomes something special for the parents to take their kids to. And it's like, it is so ingenious. And like you said, it's not focused on the transaction at all. It's really just focused on, the relationship. Like, I don't know how much, I was thinking about this one day. I was like, how much money have I spent at In-N-Out like in my lifetime. How
Well,
much
they
am I
sell
worth to them?
don't they have like? And what I like too, what I appreciate too, is like so many others that are, like other fast food franchises that try to cater to young people, to the children. Right? They're selling Happy Meals. They're selling they're selling upcharged food with some really cheap
toy,
one-off little toy thing that's gonna gain 1 minute of their attention and be done with it in the trash. Now, granted, they don't give it, but they still give away the stickers. Like they would have a little sticker sheet that has all these little stickers, and they'd give that to kids, so the kid could put stickers on the tray liner, right, and things like that. So there's little things to help them busy, but those simple little touch points that have, like you said, it's like, you always ask girls, where do you want to eat, and their favorite answer is, In-N-Out, and you're like, oh yeah, I raised you well.
Yeah. I think on my daughter's 5th birthday, she wanted In-N-Out, and we put a candle in the burger. And that was
there. You go. There you
that
go.
made her day.
Yeah. And then for your birthday, we'll be loading up with a heck of a lot of candles. Huh?
Yeah, with a 5x5.
A 5x5. Yeah. Well, I think now that I'm hungry for hamburgers, I think we've chatted enough about an iconic brand, but one that has really gained their footing for a long time by just saying no, knowing when to say no, and I think that's one of that brand's biggest success points.
Definitely. Well, until next time, cheers.